Here we can see a Japanese silk handmade picture and some Spanish objects just in this place.
What does intercultural fluence means to you? Stay with me to find out. The last topic we presented by Leandership was self-responsibility, the ability to assume a leading role and take responsibility, accountability for everything that happens in our lives. In this week's video, the proposal is to bring up a theme that often makes our relationships more difficult within a company or even in the personal situations, when we travel and visit a different place, for example. Today, I'll talk about intercultural ability. Intercultural ability or fluency was one of the topics we listed in the video about soft skills. The development of this skill is very important to improve relationships and also to take better advantage of situations where there is interaction with people from other cultures. This competence is a person's ability to value, respect, and learn from different cultures, ethnicities, and religions, for example. In addition, it is having the ability to understand the differences between people, acting with sensitivity, respect, and openness when relating and interacting with others. We know how diverse this world is. We are every day expanding our interactions with people and cultures, especially when we think about technological advances, in terms of communications mainly. Social networks are a very good example of this advance. Another point to be commented on, it is not recent that we talk about globalization, multinationals installing here and there, and how important it is to speak a foreign language. Whether it is for a professional requirement or a personal aspect when we travel for leisure, for example. Having an additional language is a requirement since a long time. It is normal to request a third language now. However, the idea here is not only to address the linguistic aspect of communication, but to go a little bit deeper into the cultural question of these interactions. Companies seek for people with experience and flexibility to adapt to this increasingly multicultural scenario. Intercultural fluency allows us to have the possibility to understand and make ourselves understood. As we know, respect, and understand in an empathic way on how our interlocutor from another culture may be thinking or what are the sensitive themes for that particular person. Being able to adjust communication properly, sales strategy, for example, or an approach or a greeting. Some examples always help us to better understand the topics we bring here at Leandership. Let's consider a leisure travel experience. It is very important to know in advance the eating habits of a country that you're going to visit. To have no surprise, for example, when drinking a coffee that may have been pooped by a small mammal. And it is one of the most expensive coffees in the world, coming from Indonesia. Or maybe eating ants in Brazil. Or a scorpion skewer in Singapore. In addition to these examples, let's talk professionally. We can mention the issue of punctuality for German meetings. In other countries like Brazil, punctuality, let's say, it's a little bit flexible. Some Latin cultures have very warm meetings that look like more like fights and personal offenses. In an American company, for example, a professional can give you a very heavy, very harsh feedback and then some minutes later invite you for a very cordial lunch. Not only in other countries we can find such differences. They happen within the same country and even within the same state. So also be aware of these cultural, gastronomic and linguistic differences with your own people. We live in a multicultural environment where interactions are increasingly frequent and fast. With our developed means of communications, we can be on the other side of the world at the click of a mouse, or in a few hours on a very different continent. Therefore, it's worth having awareness and trying to learn about the other culture before, during and after an interaction like that. The idea of today's video was not to detail this very deep and complex aspect of multiculturalism, but rather to bring your attention and interest to this topic that is very important for our professional interactions and also for our vacation plans, inside or outside our own country. Next week, Leandership will bring more special content made with great care, especially for you. What about you? Have you ever passed or know someone who has gone through an intercultural embarrassment? I can say that I've been through several, but that's a topic for another coffee, not that mammal's coffee. I'm Daniel Navarro. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and I'll be back with you next week. Take care.
Here we have a Spanish sword that belongs to my uncle, and here some Japanese swords, katana, that are related to our Japanese aspect.